Yes, well, back with you. Hello again, Jim Burns. What we got going on here today, if you remember previously, we removed our motor bracket, found out that it was not 90 degrees. The motor was oriented this way with the rear end downward, the shaft. I mean, I'm over exaggerating, but the shaft was pointed upward and not very conducive to an inline match with our gearbox here. So I took her down to the basement and clamped her in the vise and with a little bit of coaxing. Show you here with our square. We've got her 90 degrees. So she's looking good that way. All right. I'll point out here, I've got the blade of our square lifted off the plane of the bracket to clear this bend in the crook of the bracket, so it clears that. Otherwise, if the blade was resting on the bracket bottom there, it would hit that curve and give you an erroneous reading. So you just lift it up a little bit, tighten her down, get her in a square, and then you get a nice reading here. All right, so we've got her square, and this bottom part had been bent, so I spent a few loving moments with a hammer and got her all flattened out there. So that's all done. So we've alleviated any problems we'll have with our bracket. If I was Williams, I would have put a couple gussets in here. Those are triangular pieces that would, brace this vertical part of the bracket. But they just, I'm sure it's fine. It's all right. I always overdo everything. But anyhow, we're all set here with our bracket. That's enough about that. All right, so let's bring in our chassis here with our gearbox. Now what we got going on here is I want to just visually check this. I mean, I can get the shaft to turn by hand. Doesn't feel like there's any binding, but and it is moving the wheels if I do it by hand. So, but I want to take this apart, make sure it's not binding, and bust our new drive shaft, which is here. All right, I'll put the set screws in. We're ready to go. More on this in a few minutes. I'll have to explain to you what I mean in a minute. But anyway, set that aside for now. Our gearbox, it is attached to the center driver, and you can see there's two screws that should release the bottom and top sections of the gearbox. But what I'm noticing is on every other screw on this locomotive practically, there's lock washers on everything. But this thing that you would think takes the most vibration, there's no lock washers on that. I don't know if whoever was in this thing previously lost them and just decided to put them back together without using them, but we can get some new ones and put on there. I'll have to order some. I don't have any lock washers that small. I don't think. I'll look. But all right, so we'll take it apart and see what we can come up with here. Alright, and then if you can see here, I use this stuff. It's Loctite's Fun Tech. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a mounting putty. Yeah, mounting pictures and whatnot, but it makes a good gripper for your screws when you don't happen to have any magnet screwdriver for this but this will work good. Alright, you can see there, it sticks pretty nice. Set that screw over there, reform it a little bit. Alright. Oh, that one we lost. That's alright. There it is. I think it caught on the threads because the top part of the gearbox dropped a little bit. So, alright. So, if we set this up, the bottom part should fall off. And it does. Alright, there's our main drive gear. Looks in good shape. But here's our, we'll pull the gearbox off if we can. There it is. Alright, there's our gearbox. There's the gear in there. We'll take this apart in a moment. I want to see here, do our wheels turn freely without the gearbox? And they do. I don't feel any binding. Rods are moving freely. Yeah. Feels very good. Okay, so, and you can see that's the gear there on the center driver shaft axle. Looks in pretty good shape. Lots of grease there. Alright, that's good news. Our drivers are free to move. Here's the bottom of the gearbox. Just has a little trough in there. A little bit too much grease all over the place, but we'll clean that up. I'm going to wipe that down right now. I'm going to get it all over my hands here. I might as well get that. Doesn't need to be on the mating surfaces of the gearbox. There's nothing moving there. Just needs to be in the axle. And then the trough holds a little bit of grease. We could add some more to that. But for now, we'll set that aside. Alright, here's our gearbox. Once again, there's the drive shaft. What do we got? One screw on this side. Two screws on this side. So let's take, this thing's got so much grease all over the place. I don't know if, like I said, I don't know much about this locomotive. You would think there'd be a gasket there. There's our screw right there. All right, one of them anyway. All right, let's flip her over. I mean, there's grease coming out these screw holes, was my point. Okay, there's another one. Same type of screw. Yeah. Oops. If we can get it to focus on the screw. There you go. Same type on both sides. Let's see about our top screw, if it's the same. I'm gonna guess it probably is. Yeah, but you would think they would have a gasket. Keep any. And yeah, it's the same. So 3 screws, all the same. All right, so let me move our gearbox screw over there before we lose it. All right. Let's pull these pieces apart. Quite a bit of grease on there. That's interesting. A lot of grease everywhere, except on this drive gear area here. That seems pretty dry. We'll have to redistribute this grease. I'll probably just clean this all out and add new grease. Maybe white lithium or my gear grease that I have from Lionel. The stuff that's a little sticky, but it doesn't break down under heat. I don't know how much this produces, but just looking at all this grease that's you know, oozed its way out between these, there's just seems to me there would have been a gasket there, but I couldn't find any information on that. All right, here's our gearbox here. There's the worm, bearings, idler. Well, this is the worm wheel here. Actually, this would be the idler, and then the drive gear on the axle. So everything looks good. Nothing broken. All the teeth are there. It does turn by hand anyway. I don't feel any binding. Oh, popped it out. There we go. Yeah, I don't feel any binding anywhere. Let me try something here, see if this works. About if we use our battery operated moto tool here, pull that out for the moment. And point my fingers off. Let's pull that out just a little bit. Let me grab a block here. Don't need that section. Let me set that back in its yep, should have left a little more room. Easily fixed. Pull it out a little more. Tighten it back up. Alright. I'll turn it on low here. Alright. It's working. Oh, not now. Lost our worm wheel here. There we go. Get the bearings back in place. Alright, well, you can see it's working. I don't see anything binding. Excellent, that's great news. Alright, I'll push those back in there. That's fantastic. So we know our gearbox is in good shape. I was worried about that. Our bearings look real nice. Let's take a look at one of those. They just slip on there, slip fit. There's that. I don't see any excessive wear there. I don't see any gouging on the bore. It looks pretty good. I'll check the other one when I take it out of the chuck here. Alright, let's take a look at this one. Alright, it's looking good. The bore's nice and clean. That's wonderful news. All right. So we can put this back together. I'm really anxious to test this thing out, so we'll put this back together. And I'm gonna wipe all this excess gear lube off the body of the gearbox. Get that out of there. That just makes a big mess when it starts coming out. Alright. So we got that. And then we'll wipe off our mating section here. I'm not going to be too anal about this. Oops, can I say anal on YouTube? I'm going to clean it all off and put my own lube in there. Anyway, but this is good to know for our testing purposes. All right, good, good, good. So we'll get this puppy back together. Yeah, that one spot there, that seems to be the only part that's dry. So we'll spread this around a little bit while we're here. And let me get a brush. And we'll move some of this over to here. There we go. Much better. Get all these surfaces covered where the gears spin. That's better. There we go. All right. So what we'll do is, let's see, this is, need our bearings. That's very important. All right. Put that in there. There we go. All right. Looking good. So let's drop our screws back into our gearbox here. Very good. Don't think we need this anymore. All right, let's flip her over. Two more screws here. One there. And one there. I'm very happy to see that. That's working quite nicely. All right. Very good. Hang on, I need another paper towel here. All right. Move our moto tool out of the way. Flip her over. Get this oriented the right way. Thusly. All right, let's put our trough back on. I'll have to investigate further if there were any gaskets on this thing, but for now we're okay. We'll deal with this. Not having a gasket at the moment. I can make a gasket. I do have gasket material here. We'll see. All right. Got put that one in. Grab our other screw here. Put her into the fun tack. Okay, there we go. So that's done, it's back on. Let me make sure it's free. Yes, it's free, it's turning nice. All right. That's that part. Okay, now, all we gotta do is get ourselves put back together with our bracket and get our motor mounted, hook up our drive shaft. That'll be exciting, huh? All right. I know this video is getting a little long, but we gotta endeavor to persevere here. And while I'm getting this bracket mounted on here again, get the screws out of here. What I'm concerned about with that puppy right there is a rigid connection from the motor to the gearbox. In researching more about this locomotive, I came across a picture of the Williams Dreyfus Hudson, and that was the streamlined version of this locomotive, and it showed a picture with the shell removed, and what it had was the motor actually had a brass flywheel on it, and which we do not have. But from what little info's out there, it doesn't sound like these had the flywheel, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But what worries me about this rigid connection here is the Dreyfus right off the flywheel was a universal joint that then made its way over to the gearbox. I don't know why I'm missing that hole. Probably because I tightened this one up too much, right? Yeah, probably. Never tighten everything up all at once. Wait till you get everything screwed in and then tighten it. There, now it's moving around. But anyway, yeah, the universal joint was right off the flywheel and went to the shaft of the gearbox. So that tells me that they expected this not to be a perfectly in-line arrangement here with this shaft and the motor shaft. And that worries me with this rigid, but we'll see. We'll see how it does. I just seriously have my doubts this is going to work. But, hey, we'll learn. We'll figure it out. Let me grab my shell here with the motor. And we'll see how we how we do here. Alright, let me get my padding. I don't want to muck up this shell here. Put our padding back there. Give that a nice soft place to rest. Alright, so we'll set our motor there. But before we put any screws in, we gotta get our shaft on there. And then slip it onto the shaft of the gearbox, if I can hold everything in place. Yeah, see, that's is worrying me already. Not even maybe one of these is a little too tight here. Let me see. Maybe I wound it in too far. All right, let me get my Allen wrench here. All right, here we go. Let me loosen this up a little bit. Might have wound that one in there too far. Oh, but you know what? Before I do any of this, sorry folks, this video is getting longer and longer. But let's give ourselves a fighting chance here. If we got any grease on our shafts here, I want to get that off. Okay, there's the motor. And then our gearbox. Get that wiped off. This is alcohol, just an alcohol pad. Alright. Very good. Let me see, did I get that loosened up enough? Yes, I did. Very good. Alright, let's get our motor back in position here. And slide that into there. There we go. Okay, now what we need to accomplish here is to get our motor screws put back in. Hang on one second. Okay, let's see if we can get these screws wound in here. Our little fun tack stuff is so full of grease here. It's still sticking and holding, so that's good. Alright, here's that one, our first one. Yeah, I can already tell by eye that that is not a straight line. I could modify this bracket to make it exactly straight, but I'm not going to get into all that. If we do have to get a universal joint, I looked on Bachman's site, who now owns the Williams brand. I saw the drive shaft was listed there, but it's no longer available. So what I was thinking was maybe getting maybe RC cars. You know, there's tons of different drive shafts they make for those. Different lengths, different diameters. Single drive shaft with a universal joint or double universal joints. They got lots of different stuff for the RC world. Perhaps we could make something work here, huh? But we'll see how this does. Yeah, I'm not liking that at all. I can tell it's just not right. Even though I can get it, I can feel a little binding right there. Yeah. Let me push this closer and see if that'll work. No, I'm still feeling a little bit of binding there, but well, let's say we give it a shot, huh? Let me get these set screws tightened up. All right, bring that in a little closer. Yeah, on these fittings that were already on the locomotive that I pressed the brass tube onto, I mean, these are slip fit, so there's really no adjustment. All there is the ability to tighten these set screws, and that's it. There's no movement that you can allow for any misalignment. But all right, there's that. All right, so let me get this up on some blocks. I drilled a hole in the end of this right here, just so I can. Was that the hole I drilled? Yeah, yeah. So I can get this up here, and then a 2x4 to hold the front end of the frame. Let's see if this will work for us. Just for the drawbar peg to sit in. Keep it somewhat. All right. Of course, now you're out of view, aren't you? So let's see if we can remedy that. Okay, I adjusted the camera there so you can see what we're working with. Here comes the moment of truth, folks. Like I say, I'm not real confident in this situation, but we'll see. All right. Let's get our power source plugged in here. Take a look. All right, let's see how she runs. Nope. I knew it. That's very disappointing. How about in reverse? That's just too much. Yeah, I mean, even though it's a tiny bit of misalignment, it's enough. And now I know why they had the universal joints. Yeah. You can actually see this. It's smooth on this side where the motor is, but over here, that's no good. It even vibrated one of the set screws right out. Okay, so that's a big fail. Oh man, all that work. Well, you know, we're learning. We're figuring it out. I gotta take a moment here, and I guess I'm gonna have to get a drive shaft for an RC model car and see if we can invent something to make this more workable. Seeing that chassis up on the wood blocks reminds me of myself when I was a kid back in the day, a long day ago, having my 67 Chevy Caprice up on blocks all the time in the backyard, trying to keep it running. That's funny. Yeah, it reminds me. Oh, memories. I haven't thought about that car for a long time. Yeah. All right, let me figure out what we're going to do here. Maybe that's the end of this episode until I figure something else out. So we'll take her off the blocks here. Oh, let me grab that set screw that vibrated on already. Goodness. That's just no good. Don't like that at all. All right, that's a shame. Oh, that's, I'm just very disappointed, but these are the things you have to deal with. We will learn from this experience and move on. All right? All right. Toodles. Wait a minute. Don't go anywhere. I had another idea after my nap. So here we are, same day, several hours later. And I started thinking I better go to the basement and take a look around, see what I can find. So I was down there and I just happened to think, I mentioned about my old 67 Caprice, always working on that thing, keeping it running. Back then it was like I was the guy because I had the car, all my schoolmates in high school there. Let's go here, let's go here, let's go there. I had to keep it running, keep everybody happy. But anyhow, I started thinking, there's got to be something I have here. And I'll show you here in a second. I'm going to back these screws off. And set them aside for the moment. I don't know if this will work either. I'm just, just continuing on with our experiment here. But this seems like a better option than what I did with this rigid drive shaft here. So let me get this apart, I'll show you here. All right, we got our drive shaft there. But I have in my possession a ton of this. This is vacuum line, silicone vacuum line. About, oh, I don't know, 10 feet of it. But, you know, working on cars all the time, that's, you wind up with extra stock. But this is 3mm, which is close to 1/8 of an inch, so on the inside diameter. So, what I'm going to do is cut a piece the same length. Let me do it this way because I gotta keep my fingers intact, although they don't work. I gotta, you know, make sure I don't cut them off. All right, there we go. All right. So there's a short piece of vacuum line for a vehicle. 3mm on the inside, nice thick walls. All right, let's see. The motor shaft and the gearbox shaft, they're both 1/8 of an inch. Okay, that went on. Pretty good grip. Of course, there's no load on it, so, you know. Well, let's just throw it in here and see what we come up with. Here's our, we'll slide that onto there. All right. Let me get my screws here. Number one. I'm really sorry about the length of this video, guys, but this is important stuff. We're learning. You spent 6 hours in school, didn't you? You can spend an hour with me. All right, let's tighten those up and see what happens here. All right, let me get my Allen wrench out of the way. Thing's so tiny. All right, what are we gonna do? Oh, I got my blocks here. All right, now let's look at that. You can actually see, or can you see? I don't know. Look at the downward trajectory of that hose there. That shows you how much misalignment there is on this. Now, I could bend the bracket up and try to aim it at the gearbox shaft, but then you run the risk of it being misaligned in another plane. So, boy, that's probably what, a 32nd of an inch difference from the top of the hose on the motor to the top of the hose on the gearbox. Can you see that? Oh well, let's try it. Let's give it a whirl. I don't know. We may still have to go for our remote control car drive shaft. Not sure this is gonna work. Felt like it gripped the shaft pretty good though. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. All right, can you see everything? Yeah, little. Let's bring you up just a tiny bit more here. Yeah, all right, that's pretty good. All right. Getting close to our moment of truth. All right. Contact. Oh, are you kidding me? It's, oh my God, that's excellent. Little bounce on the gearbox there, but there's no support out here with the cow catcher and cylinders missing. Oh my God, that's working so good. Oh, I'm so happy. This was bothering me. I could barely take my nap. I'm sorry. I'm just so freaking excited here. Oh, let's see. Is it going to slip if we put a load on the wheels? Yeah, a little bit. That's all right, though. You know what? We could find some miniature hose clamps and wrap around here. Just kind of give it a little squeeze. Let's try that again. You know, once the body's on, the shell, there's no room for this to back away. So it would probably keep it engaged. I think a couple little clamps. Look at her go. Yeah. Nice, nice, nice. All right, let's try that the other direction here. Oh man, I'm just so happy. Can you tell I'm happy? Let's see here. I love it when a plan comes together. It's so smooth too. It's real smooth. I think we have successfully repaired this locomotive. Son of a biscuit. Oh, that is nice. Wow. I'm going to play with this the rest of the day. Seems to be a little bit of problem here, but we can figure that one out. No, the other one's moving just about the same on the other side. Yeah, it's not vibrating off this block or anything. It's running real smooth. Success! Huzzah! Okay, I'm going to look on... I have no affiliation with McMaster Car website, but they have everything in the world you could ever need. But I'll bet you they have some nice small clamps. Or even if I have some clamps in the basement, because some of these vacuum lines for the vehicle, they were actually clamped onto the ports for the vacuum diaphragms, so wherever they may be in the vehicle. This particular hose, I got this for my, what was it, a 94 Ford Explorer. I rebuilt the engine in the backyard there from the piston heads up, and I needed new vacuum line, and this was the perfect stuff. I got 10 feet of this stuff. So, yeah, I never thought I'd use it that much anyway. I probably used about probably 6 feet of this stuff here, and the rest I just bought it in bulk. I didn't know what I was. It was cheaper actually to buy it in bulk, so I just bought the whole 20 feet and then used about 16 or 6 feet of it, and thank God I hung on to that. Yes, sir. All right, one more look before we go. Choo choo, baby. All right. I think we're in great shape. Okay, guys. Thanks for watching. Toodles.